His Excellency
Zat əlləri Prezident İlham Əliyev,
esteemed guests,
hörmətli qonaqlar, dini nümayəndələr, xanımlar və cənablar.
I welcome you to the
6-cı
sixth World
Ümumdünya
Forum
Mədəniyyətlər
on
Arası Dialoq
Intercultural Dialogue.
Forumuna xoş gəlmisiniz.
As we convene here in
Toplaşdığımız
Baku,
zaman
we are met
Bakıda
with a world of
biz
grappling with a
sərhədləri
wide
aşan,
range of challenges
məfkurələri
to peace
keçən
and
dərin
security
çağırışlarla və
on a global
fürsətlərlə səciyyələnən qlobal durumun
To
şahidiyik.
effectively address these challenges, enabling mutual understanding
Bəşəriyyət
and
iqlim
cooperation
dəyişmələri,
is
pandemiya, terrorçuluq, kiber təhlükələr
more than
və
ever,
geosiyasi gərginlik kimi mürəkkəb məsələlərlə üzləşir.
conflict resolution
Və
and
əlbəttə ki,
foster peace.
biz münaqişələri həll etməliyik və sülhü qurmalıyıq. 2011-ci ildə başladıqdan sonra məhz Bakı prosesi bu məqsədi vacib tutmuşdur.
Dialogue for Peace and Global Security
Və
will explore the
bugün
role of
sülh və
cooperation
qlobal
and
təhlükəsizlik
leadership
naminə
in
dialoq,
interconnectivity.
əməkdaşlıq formalarını, rəhbərlik üsullarını
Ladies and
müzakirə edəcəkdir. Xanımlar və
Before we
cənablar,
commence with our esteemed speakers,
biz
we'll
öz
now present a video
nümayəndələrimizə söz verməkdən
showcasing
öncə
the evolution of
qısa
the
video
Baku
şərxə baxacaq
process
və
over
orada
time.
Bakı prosesi təsvir olunacaq. Sağ olun.
In 2024, our world seems more connected, yet more divided than ever before. Amidst all challenges, we have a unique opportunity to come together, transcend divisions, and forge a path towards a brighter, shared future. This is the vision of the Baku process. Welcome to Baku, Azerbaijan, where East meets West and tradition meets modernity. Welcome to the 6th World Forum on Intercultural Dialogue. Dialogue for peace and global security, cooperation and interconnectivity. This key World Forum promotes intercultural dialogue globally as part of the Baku process. The forum brings people together from different ethnic, cultural, religious and linguistic backgrounds and creates a platform for open and respectful exchanges which lead to mutual understanding. Initiated in 2008 by the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and supported by leading international organizations, the Baku process has welcomed more than 10,000 participants from 110 countries at more than 250 events, and has inspired new intercultural initiatives across the region. As the world gathers for the 6th World Forum, we hold our future in our hands. Here, in the heart of Baku, we have the chance to influence the future of our world. A world where interfaith dialogue can bring hope, understanding and healing. Where sustainable development, education and tourism can bring us closer together. Where social media and artificial intelligence can unite rather than divide humanity. And in the year where Baku will host the COP29 summit, we want to shape the world where nations can come together to address the challenge of climate change. Our main goals are to promote peace through dialogue, bolster global security, and foster cooperation. The forum's outcome should result in new policies, documents and agreements that have the power to influence governments worldwide on pressing issues. Azerbaijan, with its rich tapestry of cultures, its proud history of ethnic and religious diversity and tolerance, humbly offers its own experience as a beacon of hope for the world. After decades of conflict in the Southern Caucasus, this year marks the great return and re-establishment of the Azerbaijani sovereign national borders, paving the way to peace, security and prosperity. Following the successful liberation of the territory in a legal manner, and the resolution of the conflict in accordance with international law, finally justice has prevailed. The pivotal message here is one of hope. A hope that Azerbaijan eagerly wishes to extend to the world. As we together embark on this journey together, let us seize the opportunities before us. Let us join hands and celebrate diversity. Let us contribute through a combined effort, vision and knowledge to the creation of a world of peace, mutual respect and understanding. Welcome to the 6th World Forum on Intercultural Dialogue, where we step forward into a better future together.
What an amazing journey that's been. Absolutely breathtaking, and so proud and happy to be here. And the Baku process certainly fills us with hope. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to welcome His Excellency Ilham Aliyev, the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, to this esteemed gathering. President Aliyev is a visionary leader and a global advocate for intercultural dialogue and multiculturalism. In 2008, President Aliyev pioneered the Baku process. Through his leadership and foresight, this forum has emerged as a vital platform for promoting cultural diversity, tolerance, and dialogue on a global scale. Please join me in warmly welcoming His Excellency, President Ilham Aliyev.
Thank you very much for your kind introductory words. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, welcome to Azerbaijan. I'm very glad that forum is back on track. As you know, we had several years of break due to COVID and post-COVID situation, but now I'm sure our traditional timetable is completely restored. I'm glad to see representatives from more than 100 countries, actually 110, and this really demonstrates that this forum is a very important international platform to address the issues of intercultural dialogue. In the short video we've seen now, it tells about Baku process. Actually, when we launched the process, we could not even imagine that it will transform into such a global platform to unite peoples, intellectuals, politicians, decision makers, media representatives, representatives of civil society, religious leaders, united with one goal: how to make world more safe and secure, because the basis for that is a dialogue between cultures. I looked at the program of the forum. It's really very wide, covers many areas. Agenda really is very broad. Cultural diversity, interreligious dialogue, climate change, migration, peace and security, post-conflict situation, tourism, artificial intelligence. I wish productive discussions, and I'm sure that discussions and ideas to be presented during the forum will help us to continue to elaborate approaches towards intercultural dialogue, how to strengthen it, how to work jointly in order to reduce existing and potential threats. Since we met last time, in 2019 in Baku, unfortunately, the world did not become safer. On the contrary, we see new conflicts, new areas of instability, and new challenges. Therefore, this audience of esteemed personalities I'm sure, will contribute to, as I already said, elaboration of ideas and new approaches to address most urgent issues on global agenda. Azerbaijan has its own experience in addressing those issues which are on the agenda of the forum, so I will maybe talk a little bit on how we see our role in these processes and what we have done in order to strengthen these positive trends. Azerbaijan for centuries is a place for cultures to meet. Our geographical location between East and West actually predominated this trend. And multicultural and ethnically diverse Azerbaijani society throughout the centuries managed to protect the most important values, values of tolerance, mutual respect, friendship and partnership. And one of the main reasons for successful development of Azerbaijan as an independent country, I'm absolutely sure, is exactly that. People, all the peoples who live in Azerbaijan, representatives of different ethnic groups and religions, live as one family, as great citizens of Azerbaijan, as patriots of our state and statehood, and they do everything in order to strengthen our country and to strengthen the positive trends of cultural dialogue and cultural diversity. So having this great experience, which is coming from many ages before, we thought it would be right for us to undertake this initiative and to launch Baku process. And as you know, after 3 years after Baku process was officially launched, we held the first World Forum on Intercultural Dialogue, and now it continues. One of the main reasons and factors of peace and stability and solidarity of Azerbaijani society is exactly cultural diversity and mutual respect. And of course, intercultural dialogue inside Azerbaijan always was very positive. And we demonstrate it on day-to-day life. And when we talk about multiculturalism for Azerbaijani citizens, it's not something which is abstract or something which must be learned. It's how we live. It's our lifestyle. And we are proud of that, and also proud that we managed to protect these values throughout the centuries, and also in this turbulent time of clashes, of conflicts, of wars, which are happening very close to our borders, and also several years ago inside Azerbaijan. So all that is something which we really want to share with our friends, and also to express our firm commitment to continue on this path, which is the only way for, I'm sure, any country to succeed. Because first, you have to address these issues internally and to create such an atmosphere that representatives of all ethnic groups, all religions, feel themselves safe in dignity and treated with respect. If policy is different, it will lead only to discrimination, mistrust, and in the end, to social and, in many cases, political difficulties. It can lead to disintegration of the countries. Therefore, our experience is really a demonstration how we managed to survive in the very difficult first years of independence, when we've been occupied, and also there have been a lot of economic and social difficulties. There were attempts to disintegrate Azerbaijan and aggressive separatism was actually challenging our statehood, the unity of all the peoples who live in Azerbaijan, their commitment to the national interests was a crucial factor for our success. The role of religious leaders, of course, in this context is of special importance. And one of the topics which you will discuss is particularly that. We have more than 100 religious leaders attending the forum, and I'm sure they will contribute to strengthen mutual understanding and mutual respect. For Azerbaijan, interreligious dialogue is also something which we strongly advocate for. We organized in our country numerous events on interreligious dialogue. Part of these discussions were within the framework of World Forum on Intercultural Dialogue. Part was on different agenda. There'll be a special session, a special discussion format during the COP29 on interreligious dialogue. So I'm sure that the big audience of religious leaders from all over the world in these days in Baku will demonstrate solidarity and leadership, because the words of religious leaders are very important for all the peoples in the world. And when they hear from them positive messages of peace, tolerance, mutual respect, of course, it's a very important factor. But sometimes we hear different messages, unfortunately, and which create additional tensions. So I think that positive trends in this direction must be strongly supported. One of the issues to be discussed is multilateralism, and here also Azerbaijan can demonstrate its experience. We are strongly committed to multilateralism, and actually we've been promoting the values of multilateralism during our 4 years chairmanship in non-aligned movement since 2019 until the beginning of this year. We, by unanimous decision of all 120 countries, been elected and chaired the second after United Nations biggest international institution. And by the way, our chairmanship was extended for 1 more year, also by unanimous decision. And strongly committed to the founding principles of non-aligned movement, which are territorial integrity, sovereignty of the countries, non-interference into internal affairs of the countries. At the same time, we tried to strengthen institutional segment of the movement. Based on our initiative, parliamentary network was created for the first time, youth and women platform was created. So these are all the legacy of Azerbaijan, and I'm sure that the future institutional development of non-aligned movement will continue, because the world now needs a big group of countries which do not belong to none of the confronting poles, which have their own agenda, have their own rights. Most of these countries had a very difficult and tragic colonial past, and the voice of these countries must be heard. They cannot be ignored. And our chairmanship in NAM actually was aimed at that, to make the movement more vocal, more active, proactive, and more capable. And we, during the COVID time, also used the platform of NAM in order to address important issues of this tragic disease. Pandemic hit all the countries, and Azerbaijan was among the countries who actively spoke and acted against vaccine nationalism. As you may remember, in the first months of the pandemic, there was a shortage of vaccine. And many countries which had a lot of money, they just stockpiled, some of them 5 times more vaccines than they needed. And thus, how to say, destroying the health system of many other countries which could not get access to vaccines. So fight against the vaccine nationalism was on top agenda of Azerbaijan as a chair of NAM. We addressed this issue also during the special session of UN General Assembly initiated by us. One of the issues which we always addressed as a chair of non-aligned movement was a fight against neocolonialism. As I already said, most of the countries of non-aligned movement had a very dark and tragic colonial past. And fight against neocolonialism is something which strongly believe in. It's just because we speak for justice, we speak for international law, and we cannot afford today in the 21st century some big European countries to continue to colonize other peoples. This is absolutely unacceptable. And when we raise our voice in national capacity and previously as a chair of NAM, it's not because we do something against a country. It's just because we defend justice and international law. It should not be ignored. The world should not turn a blind eye on this disgusting practice of neocolonialism, which actually leads now to assimilation, forceful assimilation of more than 10 French overseas territories is absolutely unacceptable and must be stopped. And I wonder why the European institutions, which sometimes try to interfere into internal affairs of the countries which are not situated in Europe, such as European Parliament and Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, are silent. Don't they see that neocolonialism today continues? Why don't they criticize? Why don't they impose sanctions? Why don't they raise their voice? We do it, yes, as a chair of NAM, that was our duty. And now, as a country which, and the people who lived in other countries, in other empires, and we know what it is to be free and independent, we want to help these people to protect their rights, to achieve independence, to be able to promote their culture, to protect their language. This is something which I think every normal human being will defend. So this is an important issue also, I think, for intercultural dialogue. We cannot demonstrate hypocrisy and double standards, or just to ignore or to turn a blind eye when we see that hypocrisy and double standards are demonstrated. When you articulate very pleasant to the ear values of tolerance, dialogue, democracy, human rights, and at the same time continue to colonize more than a dozen overseas territories, this is nothing but hypocrisy and must be stopped. Multilateralism and our experience in this area, of course, will help us to be a president of COP29. By unanimous decision, Azerbaijan was elected as a host country, and we see our role in building bridges. because I already said our history, our geography, our interaction with European institutions, at the same time being here just geographically between West and East, we can do a lot. And our experience as a chair of NAM also will help us to build bridges. I think for successful development of the issues related to climate change, we need not only finance. Finance will be, by the way, the main topic of COP29. We need solidarity and mutual trust. And we should not try to put the blame on each other and to argue who did more in order to damage the planet and who is responsible for global warming. If we do it, if we continue acting like that, it will be a disaster. Also, and I spoke recently at one of the important climate conference, there should be no discrimination against oil-producing countries. And I said and want to repeat that it's not our fault that we have oil and gas. Some others have other natural resources. And of course, every country has a right to use its natural resources for the benefit of the country, and not only your own country. As far as Azerbaijan is concerned, we provide energy security, supplying natural gas to 8 countries. And if you look at our geography of oil supplies, maybe several times more. So our efforts will be building bridges between Europe and Global South, strengthen solidarity. We can do it, I think. Of course, we will need to work hard, but our agenda is that. At the same time, we have our own green agenda, which started long before we've been awarded with the honor to host COP29. By 2027, we will have 2 gigawatts of solar and wind power stations operational. And by 2030, we will have additional 5 gigawatts of solar and wind also operational. And that will allow us 100% to use renewables for production of electricity. So this is what we do with revenues from oil and gas. We create a very good investment climate, attracting investors, at the same time investing ourselves in renewable sources. And this is a factor we must be judged by international community, and not because we have oil and that means that we did something wrong. We didn't do anything wrong, and Azerbaijan's performance in issues related to climate change, I think, can be considered as an example. And the last point, also referring to your agenda of discussions, peace and security and post-conflict situation. Azerbaijan ensured peace by war. So I think this should be thoroughly examined. We've been under occupation for almost 30 years. And during all the previous World Fora on International Dialogue, I was speaking about occupation, injustice, and suffering of the people of Azerbaijan. Almost 20% of our international recognized territories was occupied until 2020, just from the first days of our independence. And 1 million Azerbaijanis became refugees and internally displaced. We've been a victim of ethnic cleansing from Karabakh, Eastern Zengezur. So it was total devastation. And now those who go and visit liberated territories, they can see it with their own eyes. I know that some of the participants will visit liberated territories. So we've been raising our voice. Yes, we were working hard on diplomatic track. all the major international organizations adopted resolutions and decisions, demanding withdrawal of Armenian forces, including UN Security Council, 4 resolutions. But it did not work. There was no mechanism of implementation. Armenia ignored them, and those who adopted those resolutions did not do anything in order to implement them. So we had to achieve peace by war. What we've done in 2020, 44 days of patriotic war allowed us to liberate biggest part of the liberated territories. And last September, we totally restored our territorial integrity and sovereignty. And now we are in the post-conflict situation. And in this post-conflict situation, again, it was Azerbaijan which behaves proactively. It was Azerbaijan which offered Armenia to start negotiations on peace agreement. It was Azerbaijan, the country which elaborated basic principles and even drafted the peace agreement. And now negotiations between 2 countries are being held based on our draft proposal. So suffering of the people for almost 30 years, violation of international law, total destruction of all our cultural and historical sites, including 65 mosques by Armenian vandals, 65 out of 67. Liberation of our territories by force, with a strong opposition from those countries which provide sponsorship for Armenia. Full restoration of territorial integrity and sovereignty last September, and again being a subject of unjustified political attacks from Armenian so-called guarantors. And despite all that, proposal for peace. So now we see positive trends on the peace track. At the same time, on the border delimitation, it actually started. Not only delimitation, but demarcation. And it is happening, but when I speak, it's happening now. And this was achieved by 2 countries without any mediation. And this once again demonstrates that we don't need mediators, especially those who pursue their own goals and those who don't want to help, but who want to penetrate to our region for their personal, political, and economic interests. And those who want again to put on oil to the fire and to exploit the Southern Caucasus. We will not allow that to happen. I think Azerbaijan and Armenia, after 30 years of confrontation, clearly understand that we need peace in the Southern Caucasus, and the peace in the Southern Caucasus can be achieved only through normalization between Azerbaijan and Armenia. I will conclude now, in order not to take much of your time. Thank you for your attention. Wish you all the best, good discussions, and pleasant stay in Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Mr. President, thanks so much for setting a clear focus and direction for our forum. You painted a comprehensive picture of what's at stake with peace and global security, and what needs to be done, and what Azerbaijan does so well. And I really thank for your leadership, for making the South Caucasus a place where a shared future is possible. So, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, with that, it's with great pleasure that I introduce His Excellency Miguel Moratinos, the distinguished UN High Representative of the Alliance of Civilizations, which is the main partner of the World Forum on Intercultural Dialogue and the Baku process. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to His Excellency Miguel Moratinos.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Mr. Ilham Aliyev, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Your Excellency, Mr. Adil Karimli, Minister of Culture of Azerbaijan, ministers, eminences, dear friends. It gives me a great pleasure to be back to Baku. The United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, has delegated me to convey his warmest wishes for what I'm sure will be a successful forum. The United Nations Alliance of Civilization is proud of its partnership with the Ministry of Culture of Azerbaijan in co-organizing the 6th World Forum of Intercultural Dialogue, a formula that we started together since 2011 with other distinguished partners present here today. I take the opportunity to salute my dear colleagues from UNESCO, from ISESCO, and from UN Tourism. This year, iteration of the forum is particularly significant. We are convening at a time when bad news and desperation prevail in the news almost every day. And there is a reason to have hope in a better future. Ukraine and the Middle East appeal all of us to put an end to this crisis and conflict. And I think we should try to pursue peace and stability in both sides. I hope that negotiations that are taking place today and these recent days about Gaza will come to a positive news with a ceasefire and the freedom and liberation of Israeli hostages. The same happened, and I have to salute the agreement reached between the State Commission of Azerbaijan and Armenia on 19 April of the delimitation of the border. It's a tremendous positive step, a strong signal to all of us. And there is a good reason for hope that all other outstanding issues will be soon resolved to achieve full normalization and reconciliation. I commend the leadership of both countries, but in particular your leadership, Mr. President, to take this leading role. The forum this year is also significant as it brings a huge number of religious leaders and faith actors together with government officials, parliamentarians, international organizations, and youth. Together with my dear friend, His Virtue, Sheikh al-Islam al-Shukur Pasasade, chairman of the Caucasus Management Board, co-chair of the International Council, we are co-organizing a plenary on confidence building through interfaith dialogue. Excellencies, my dear friends, I invited you to reflect a moment on the key words that constitute the theme of the 6th World Forum for Intercultural Dialogue, and particularly on the word dialogue. In a multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religion, and multilingual societies, dialogue, peace, security, cooperation, and intercontinuity have increasingly become interrelated concepts, reinforcing each other. Dialogue is the chain that interlinks them all together. Dialogue serves as one of the soft power tools for conflict prevention and conflict resolution. It diffuses tension before they escalate and bridges the gaps to de-escalate and find mutually acceptable solutions. Dialogue transforms relations among communities affected by conflict as it rebuilds trust between so that former enemies can envision and realize a shared future. Dialogue across culture, religion, and civilization is the platform of the United Nations Alliance of Civilization that continues to advocate not only because it is our mandate and mission, but also believing that it's an imperative for sustainable peace. True dialogue is a sine qua non for peace, but my dear friends, is it insufficient? We need an alliance, a collective commitment to peace. Dialogue is the first step, but we should not stop on that. We have to go a step further. with Alliance for Peace. United Nations Alliance of Civilization continue to be committed to creating opportunities for cooperation and expanding platform for community engagement with a wide range of stakeholders, including religious leaders, representatives of civil society organizations, youth, women, academia, media professionals, and the business community. I'm convinced that the complexity of today's global challenges require new approaches and new partnerships. It is important, my dear friend, to remind ourselves of the common human values embedded in diverse civilizations from east, west, north, and south. Civilizations are built around a complexity of elements: heritage, architecture, human center, culture, social rules, tradition, and unique art. A true dialogue of civilization is one that integrates all these elements. Excellencies, eminences, distinguished guests. We may agree or disagree that the current geopolitical scene is dark and chaotic. The global order is in disorder. Wars and conflict continue to rage in different corners of the world. Polarization has reached dangerous heights. Hate speech, xenophobia, and religious intolerance is surging. Disinformation and deepfake add fuel to the raging fire of anger. Vulnerable communities are being demonized and dehumanized, especially on account of their religion, belief, ethnicity, or gender. All this fuels hatred, triggers fear, and drives a wedge between communities. Dialogue is muted. Empathy is absent. Fraternity is unattainable. Peace seems elusive. People are desperate and fear for their life and the life of their family. This is where dialogue comes into play. Over the years, the United Nations Alliance Civilization has provided a recognized global platform for interreligious and intercultural dialogue with the aim of bridging the cultural divide and building cohesive, inclusive, and peaceful society. Distinguished guests, the protection of human dignity and human life is a moral obligation. The path toward living together in peace as one humanity is one that should be based on justice and respect for human rights. Distinguished participants, the United Nations Alliance of Civilization is committed to fostering intercultural and interracial dialogue as a critical tool against isolation, mistrust, and confrontation. Our mission is especially important in addressing the root causes of polarization and radicalization and providing a counter-narrative to racism, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, as well as other forms of hatred and religious intolerance. I wish to emphasize that at a time when conflicts are fueling political tension, it must be recalled that such tension never justifies expression of identity-based hatred. That toxic hate that incites to violence, to attack on individuals and destruction of the religious side. Hatred brings the world humanity impulses, and it's for that our collective responsibility to stand up and speak out against all forms of hatred based on religion, belief, ethnicity, or gender. That is why the United Nations Alliance of Civilization developed the Plan of Action for Safeguarding Religious Sites in 2019. The plan underscored the universality and sanctity of religious sites. We will develop a new code of conduct in our next forum of the Alliance in Lisbon at the end of the year. And we will go to protect all religious sites, all religious places, and to be sure that it takes the place. I'm sure, Mr. President, as you have told me, that of course, Azerbaijan will protect all religious sites in your territories, maintaining this plural diversity and respect and mutual acceptance. My dear friends, UNOSC will lead in 3 sessions in this forum. First, an international dialogue with 20 of UNOSC youth alumni. Second, a plenary on the interfaith dialogue as a conflict building measure. Third, the launch of the Young Peace Builder in Central Asia and the Caucasus, which is supported by the government of Azerbaijan to advance the Peace for Culture initiative. Concluded, my dear friend, let's commit all of us to dialogue, to transform relations among communities affected by conflict as it rebuilds trust between so that former enemies can envision and realize a shared future. To put it in another way, dialogue paves the way for reconciliation, to moving from a divided past towards a shared future. We need a globalization of solidarity and compassion, instead the normalization of division and hatred. We need a narrative to address the current global context, one that is people-centered, focusing on vulnerable. We need to rebuild trust and restore solidarity. We need the Baku process, Mr. President. And I hope that this discussion in this forum over a wide range of issues will contribute to the Summit of the Future in the UN, to the COP29 in Baku, and to the Global Forum of United Nations Alliance of Civilization in Lisbon at the end of the year. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, you reiterated the importance of keeping hope in the face of many global peace and security challenges that we face. And you're absolutely right. To build peace, we first need to dream how it would feel like, how it look like. And to do that, we cannot be in despair. And I think building peace needs innovation, participatory action, and, as you pointed out, many brave hearts. And thanks so much for your leadership, and thanks very much for the excellent work done by the Alliance of Civilizations. Right, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm honored to introduce His Excellency Salim Al-Malik, the esteemed Director General of the Islamic World Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, a principal partner of the World Forum on Intercultural Dialogue. With great pleasure, I welcome His Excellency for his speech. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Excellency President Ilham Aliyev, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Excellencies, Eminence, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As always, Azerbaijan has risen to the occasion. President, nation, and government, and did what it does best, giving us hope to overcome this period of loss, being the guiding lantern in the blinding darkness of looming threats to our planet. So thank you, Your Excellency, President Ilham Aliyev, for your enlightenment, which will be remembered through history, as well as for your generosity and great endeavors to bring culture closer together and champion peace building, a heavy endeavor indeed. Azerbaijan was able to translate what it could not express into action. Azerbaijan was able to translate what we could not express into action through this international forum that measures up to the magnitude of the persisting challenge. Despite the advancement scored in the fields of science and technology, our world is struggling through the decline in level of security and peaceful coexistence. It is saddening to bear witness to a year described as one of the lowest level of security and highest of conflict. According to the International Institute of Strategic Studies, 2023 saw 183 regional an international armed conflict, the highest number in 30 years. The same year was also marked by a rise in violence incidents by 28%, with more disturbing increase in violence-related death by 14%. Another grim statistics show that last year, 800 million people remained below the poverty line, in spite of the astronomical rise in gross world product, as advanced economics scored a global growth from 1.6 in 2023 to 1.7 in 2024. However, this growth is as deceiving as it can be. The rate only reflects a rise in arms production, with 100 arms manufacturers achieving sales records reaching 597 billion US dollars. Actually, figures cannot belie facts. Moreover, it is as if nature were emulating our state of anxiety and confusion. Air pollution kills 7 million people every year, a number expected to rise. So what can people do amidst all these pandemonium? The global education scene is a source of concern. There is a steady decline in the number of teachers, a shortage expected to reach 69 million teachers by 2030. We will not delve into the standards of quality education, as the indicator in itself bears an alarming significance. Your Excellency, President Ilham Aliyev, esteemed audience, the Baku process of 2008 has offered numerous insights and warnings, guiding us towards the most significant and optimal path. The summit and this smart and splendid capital have continued dedicating some of science, climate, and economy. Now, the Culture Forum in its 6th interactive edition recognizes Azerbaijan's remarkable progress, setting it apart from others. ISISCO has every reason to take pride in its exceptional partnership with the leadership of this dynamic country, whose historic city, Shusha, prepares to launch its activity as the capital of culture in the Islamic world on May 11th next week. We at ISISCO are proud to witness a new milestone in the ongoing collaboration between Azerbaijan and ISISCO that covers activities, programs, projects in the cultural and civilization spheres and many other disciplines. This approach did not come out of thin air. It is rooted in the understanding that both sides share common horizons, embrace similar approaches, and aspire to similar objectives. ISISCO sees global dialogue as its rightful duty, driven by its responsibility to strengthen dialogue among its member states. The establishment of ISISCO's Center for Civilization Dialogue stands as one of the ideas conceived by the organization, as it was a step towards solidifying the meaning of cultural diversity and celebrating its richness in human interaction. ISISCO has confidently embraced these challenges with the same confidence. It has maintained a significant presence among religious and spiritual leaders, culminating in its unique declaration of moral solidarity in 2020. ISISCO has established a global network of young peace ambassadors, currently comprising 186 ambassadors from 68 countries, with a goal to reach 500 peace ambassadors by the end of 2025. Efforts are underway to integrate ISISCO Peace 360 approach into academic circles. It has advocated the creation of the 18th goal as a new core goal within the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals framework, emphasizing cultural vision related to international peace and security. ISISCO has also brought up the innovative concept of civilization diplomacy, which is set to witness its launch by the end of this year. As we strive for a more interconnected and prosperous world, to all I say, ISISCO hands will remain extended and open, provided that we agree on practical means to put an end to conflict by promoting culture, peace, security, dialogue, and solidarity. Urge research centers and think tanks to adopt reliability standards in producing information and analysis that guide policies. This robust forum, under the leadership of President Aliyev, is the most capable of addressing such challenges and navigating peacefully to safety. We congratulate Azerbaijan, its president, and its people for restoring regional peace within its internationally recognized borders. For our ongoing efforts towards reconstruction and development, this offers a glimpse of a great hope. Our prayers goes to those who are suffering in Gaza. May Allah protect them and restore justice. Thank you, Your Excellency. Many thanks to the organizing committee and to the honorable audience. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.